Hi everyone, this is Jeff again. We've got enough people on the line, so we'll get started with the Sferic Maps webinar on today, March 1st. Just a few details during the course of the webinar. If you want to ask questions, please do so and put the questions in the questions panel. If we can address them during the session, once you ask them, we'll try and do that. Otherwise, we'll go through them at the very end. If you have trouble hearing us, let us know. Use the chat function in the webinar to inform us, and we'll do what we can to improve that. So today's agenda will cover basically an overview orientation to the Sferic Maps product for severe weather visualization and alerting. And then we'll cover a bunch of topics, just general orientation around the main screen, kind of what it looks like and what are all the major functions available. I'll talk about map layers and user layers, but the difference between them, how to find them, how to customize them. We'll talk a bit about the power of views and setting those up. There's something called map tips, which are a lot of the detailed data around data points that you select within the map. And we'll go into our alerts and notification functionality. And then finally, kind of open it up to Q&A where we didn't address those questions during the session. So when you turn on Sferic Maps, you'll probably see something like this. As a first-time user, you've got some data points that show up. You've got some weather information present. You've got a top global navigation bar and a few different kind of shape constructs on the screen. I will go over all of them and explain kind of what they do and give you a sense of an orientation. So this is what it looks like when you first come in as an example. Let me put some context around the different parts. Then we'll go into each of them in detail using the live product. So kind of working clockwise, in the top right, that blue triangle is where we access the alerting functionality to receive notifications about severe weather conditions that you set up and customize. Next are the drawing tools. Allows you to put some customized shapes and understand areas that are of interest and help to put some scale to a map. To the right there, that arrow that's pointing toward the kind of the 9 o'clock on the clock, that's where the user layers and the map tips are. That allows you to customize the maps and view additional data around the points that you select. The bottom right, the location allows you to quickly navigate to your current location on the map. And then you'll see there's some current zoom settings there. Continuing around the clock, over on the far, the 9 o'clock position, there's looks like an hourglass, well not hourglass, a little compass. That's where the map layers are. And I'll show you how you can pull that out and look at different map layers that we offer, everything from temperature through lightning, through custom shapes that you can bring into the map, the system, and to use. And then moving up to the top, there's some controls around zooming, navigation of the map, bring things in to a much better resolution than what we had in our previous product streamer. And then finally at the top, there's a way to navigate views to control some of the map layers and set some preferences that you can easily get back to as you use the product. And that'll kind of round out our journey for today. So let me switch over to the live product. Okay. So you should be seeing a nice empty map of the United States and Canada. And what we're going to talk about first is over here on the far left, that's the compass diagram, or the compass icon. So this is where you would go and select it, and it pops open a set of map layers. Let me just keep them collapsed. This is what you would see as a first-time user. We've organized the map layers into several different categories. Custom layers are things that you can set up and control yourself. You can bring in your own shapes and put them on the map. Current observations are data points from our Earth Network's weather observation network and partner network. We've got radar and satellite, severe weather, which gets into things like snow, freezing rain, and lightning. There's some tropical, which applies to hurricanes and storms, mainly in the United States. And then we have some alerting functionality. So let's focus on one example, and that's if we looked at the current observations. So here you can see a set of data points, again, that originate from our network and our partners that supply us data around the world. You can see, let's use temperature. That's an easy one for everyone to grasp. So if I turn on temperature as a point, you'll see lots of data points across the United States, Canada, and Mexico in the current view. But if I was to navigate into different parts of the world, so South America, even Europe and Africa, you'll see that we've got observations that are global. Let me bring it back to the United States for a second. I referred to the zoom capability in the previous slide, so this plus and minus up at the top. So it allows us to get in rather detailed. And you'll see that more stations are revealed as we navigate closer in to the surface. In this case, the zoom level is something that we show in the bottom right. So right now you'll see zoom 6. And as I continue to zoom in, it'll continue to increase the zoom level. We get down pretty detailed, so that the quality of the map layer is very good and an improvement over the streamer product if that's something that you have some experience with. So what we're going to do is select the location icon here, and that's going to bring us all the way over to Germantown, Maryland. That's where we're headquartered. And you'll see the little green map pin identifying the current location. So that's an example of current observations of temperature using kind of the point view. Let me zoom out a little bit. I'm going to turn the point off. And another way to view the data is through a contour. And here you'll see a color system appear over the map. So point and contour are two ways to view data on the maps. That's a configuration option that's available over here in this map layer section. But there's more information to learn about these layers, and so let me explain how to get there. We go back to temperature, turn on point. So I turn on this left pane, or this map layers pane, by selecting this compass icon. Let me close it. Let me go all the way over here to the far right, and there's an arrow. Let me pull that open. So that exposes what we call the user layers area. And this is where you have additional customization on the display of that data for that particular layer. So here we've got temperature point exposed on the map. And you'll see the legend here from minus 39 degrees Fahrenheit to over 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You'll notice that legend doesn't show anywhere on the map currently, but there's an ability to turn it on. So with this checkbox here, you'll see in the far left that legend now appears on the map. And you can close this and it'll still stay. So you've got the the flexibility to show the legend on the map to see what's going on. Excuse me. You also have the ability to change the opacity of the color system. So if I wanted to bring it down from 100 to, say, 50. Do a quick refresh. Oh, it did a refresh, but oh, sorry about that. I hit my refresh on the browser. Let me just turn on the layers again. Temperature. And I'm just going to give it time to reload. Okay, there you go. So now you can see that the colors of the plots have changed. So there's a bit of a 50% opacity, which allows you to peer behind behind the shapes and look at the geography in question. We talked about the ability to turn on the legend, and you'll see here that there's something called plot symbology on or off. Just another detail where you can either show the source of the data based on the station or not. So with plot symbology off, all you see is the temperature. We're using the color system. With plot symbology on, we've added a shape around the temperature to explain where the data is coming from. Where it's a rectangle or a trapezoid, that data that comes from Earth Network's weather station network that we own and operate around the world and provide hyperlocal data. Where it's a circle, that comes from third-party data sources like METAR, SYNOP, etc., that we bring into our platform in order to complement the proprietary network that we own and operate. So you've got quite a bit of data and customization of that data using the user layer once you turn it on in the map layer section. So let me just close that. So now we've got temperature showing, and let me go back over to the left and turn on our map layers. So I've got temperature. We've got plenty of other things to show. I'll close the current observations. Let's look at radar. That's another data layer that we provide. There's lots of activity happening in the Northeast. So turn on the radar. You can see a lot of activity in the Northeast. And now that we have the radar, you'll see that another user layer has shown up on the right side. So I've got the temperature legend showing. I'm going to turn that off and turn on the radar layer. So that shows at the bottom left of the screen. So some flexibility with having multiple layers now on the map, and we can, using the user layer section, turn them off. So here I just press the eyeball to show it. Turn off the temperature as well. So you don't have to go back to the far left map layer in order to control things. With our radar, you have the ability to do an animation as well. So I'm going to show that. Let's see. We'll turn off the temperature. Oops. Close that layer. So now you can see an animated radar for the continental United States is the geographic extent of what we offer. So this is about an hour in time, and you can see the activity here. Let me pause the radar, go back, and turn off this layer. Okay. We go back to current observations as another example. So we have temperature. Let's turn on humidity as well. Keep temperature. Let's go to our severe weather and lightning. So turning on a lightning layer. Now, there's probably not a lot of lightning in the United States right now, but in order to get a better sense of what's going on, let me hide the temperature. We just see lightning. I'm going to zoom out a bit. And yep, the U.S. is barren with lightning. So we'll go over to South America. And here, so our lightning layer is turned on. This also has an animation capability. We have the ability to show both flash and pulses, and to show lightning in different historical times. So right now it's showing lightning over the last minute. So if we wanted to show lightning over the last 30 minutes, we're going to get a much detailed data set where the older lightning strikes will be a bit faded out. So the newer ones will be kind of full color. As they get older, we apply some opacity to them to make them kind of fade out. You can also do an animation similar to what we did on the radar. So let's turn that on. Giving some sense of movement of lightning storms. Let's zoom out a bit. So, one thing about viewing data on maps, the base map makes a big difference in terms of visibility. Let me pause this. So, one of the capabilities that we offer is the ability to change that base map. So, in the bottom right, there's something called base layer. We partner with a company called Mapbox to provide these. And we offer a few different base map layers in order to help with the display of the data. So let's look at dark as an example. So what this allows you to do is to customize your display. In this case, you get to see the colors really pop with the purple and the yellow over time. So depending on what the data set you're looking at, we offer a set of maps accessible from this user layer area in the bottom. There's about 8 or 10 different maps. Everything from like a classic view of streets that you would see in like Google Maps to satellite views, dark, and kind of some grayscale ones as well. So lots of options in order to maximize the view of the data. Okay. So that's lightning. Let me pause that. And let me zoom out. One of the other powerful capabilities of the system is the ability to add your own custom layers. So we're in the DC area, and I just happen to have a GeoJSON file of the metro. So basically the subway in our region. Let me pop that open. So we support GeoJSON and shapefiles as two ways to bring in your own data set. This one for the metro was something that I got off of it was publicly available. And you load it in, you put a name for it, so DC Metro. Hit save. And click this button here to show it. Now from this distance, it looks like a bunch of map pins, but we zoom in. Actually, I can use the zoom in feature, the location feature, to bring us really close. Let me pause the lightning here. I'm going to turn off the lightning. Okay. So now you start to see a bit more resolution in terms of the detail. So this is something that shows all the different stations for the red line here in the area, the blue line. So you could use this in order to draw outlines of parks, of plants, of geographic areas that are important to you that you want to reference on the map. So lots of flexibility, and you have the ability to add as many layers as you want through the custom layer capability. So the DC Metro is just an example. We find that lots of places support or provide GeoJSON or shapefile mapping outputs. So there's a lot out there that you can bring into the Sferic Maps platform. Okay. I'm going to turn that off. We do have a few drawing tools here. So if you wanted to add a circle in order to help understand relative scale for things, or to really draw attention to a certain area, that's something that we support in the product. Let's see what else. So that's an overview of the map layers. That's an overview of the user layers. So we talk about the map data, which is some of the details. I'm going to turn back on the temperatures, and we're going to zoom in a bit more to one of these spots here. So this rectangle we know is an Earth Network station. And I'm going to select it. You see a little eye appear, and over on the right there's a map data area that shows up. So this is a way to get detailed observation data that's reported by that particular station. So this one comes from Great Falls, Virginia, and it gives some latitude, longitude, and elevation of that particular station. Gives you the observation time, and it provides some current observations here in this tabular format. You can expand it to see additional ones. And if you wanted to download this data to use in whatever your BI tool might be, or your own reporting, you could click the button here where it points at CSV, and it will download that data in a CSV file so you can bring it to Excel or whatever you need. And every data point or every station has the ability to go into the details and get map data for it. So, for example, another one here, you'll see that it pops open right on the top. That happens to be from a school over in North Potomac, which is close by. Again, similar data elements reported because it's an Earth Network station, and you could toggle. Wanting to get rid of everything, top right clears the map data, and you have a clean slate. You can go over to the user section and customize the layer even further. So that's a quick tour of the power of the visualization part of the product, how to navigate the core pieces. What I wanted to do now is to talk quickly about views. So views are a way to set up things that you want to refer to often. You can basically create a geographic extent in the map, set up different temperature or different map layers and customize them, and then save it as a view. So, for example, I've got one view, which I just happen to call hello. And then I have default view, which is what we were working in. If I wanted to create a new view, what we would do, let me do this. Clear it out. I just deleted that circle that I made earlier. And, you know, I've got parents who live in northern New Jersey, so I care about the weather there. So I'm going to be interested in, let's say, high temperature, and let's say turn on the radar. Actually, let's turn on the satellite. Zoom out. So if I want to add a layer, I hit add, and I'll call it my parents. I've saved the view, close. So now if I quickly want to navigate between this view that I had here, and I say, so what's going on with my parents, as an example, I can quickly go to the view, and it brings me exactly to that, that location with the map layers that I've enabled for that location. So allows you to quickly bounce around the world or the locations that are important to you and see the data that is important to you as well. That's views. And I think the last topic I wanted to go through was notifications and alerts. So right now, I don't have any notifications that are set up or warning me that they're active. But in order to trigger the notifications, which is an important part of the product, I'm going to select that arrow, sorry, the triangle, and it brings me to a notification area. I'm going to select manage rules. Excuse me. And this is where we can select locations that we want to get alerted to when they hit certain thresholds about severe weather, whether it's observations such as temperature, humidity, etc., whether it's alerts from the National Weather Service based on their zones that they track, or severe lightning that we track and detect through the Earth Network's global network. Briefly, there's three different areas towards creating this notification or this alert. There's the locations that you care about. So I've created a few. You can see where I live and where my parents live. There's a way to set up delivery. Now, these are methods of communication. So, for example, my email address is jmayerzak@earthnetworks.com. You can use that and contact me if you have any questions. I'm happy to engage in a dialogue with you. And you would have gotten this email later on in the presentation anyway. And also, this is an iPhone that's set up. So we've been talking about Sferic Maps and showing it through a desktop browser, but we also have a product called Sferic Mobile, which is a iOS or Android app, which also allows you to browse the maps that I've shown here. But in addition, you can get push alerts, which is a great way to stay on top of severe weather when you have a mobile device. So these are two different ways that I can get contacted based on a rule that I'm going to set up next. So here, manage rules is where I set up the thing that I care about from a severe weather detection and communication perspective. So I'm going to walk you through that. And we're going to create a temperature rule. Temperature is too hot, and at my home location, I want to receive a notification to my Earth Networks email. And you can see that there are three different categories of notifications that we support. There are observations, basically current conditions that come from our network or some of the third-party networks that we ingest, things like temperature, humidity, heat index, daily rain. We've got weather service, which consists of two pieces, things that come from the U.S. National Weather Service. We'll give warnings and alerts based on things like floods, winter weather, etc. But also part of that is something called a dangerous thunderstorm alert, which is an Earth Networks product that provides advanced detection of severe weather based on our lightning network. So if you want to get an alert that there's a dangerous thunderstorm in your area, this is something that you would want to set up. And then lastly, there's the ability to set a lightning alert. So there's lightning within your area. But for this one, I go back to observations and select outdoor temperature as one that I care about. So you see on the very bottom, this notification rule shows up. And I want to customize two attributes here. One is the radius that I care about. So if I want to look at, say, 3 miles from my house, that's the area of interest. And I am concerned if the temperature is greater than or equal to, say, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Because I know at that point, my air conditioning will stop being effective and the cat at my house will have a hard time. So it will trigger me to get home fast and maybe relieve the cat. So I'm going to add the rule. And now you'll see you come back to the notification screen. We've got my location, the home location. I've got a rule, temperature is too hot, or a little explanation of what's going on. And you see that by default it is inactive. So I'm going to activate it. And now whenever the system detects that the outdoor temperature is greater than 110 degrees within 3 miles of my house, I'm going to get an email with information about that. So what we're going to do now is go back to Sferic Maps. I'm going to go back to current location. Let me turn off layers. Let's see. So I turn them all off. Nope, temperature is still on. Turn off temperature. And we added my location in this notification setup, but right now it doesn't show anywhere. That's where this your locations comes in. So I turn that on. You see two icons appear, and those are important because now these are the locations that I have alerts set up for. This one here is the location of my home for where we just set up a rule. And the color means that there's a rule associated. So I have an alert set up for this location, but it's not triggered, it's not active. So if I clicked on that, icon, it brings me back into the notification section. So now you can navigate between the locations that are important to you and that you care about on your map to setting up alerts for those locations in the notification section. We see a lot of people using the product by setting up alerts and notifications for areas of interest. Once they receive a notification through email or on their mobile device, it then would trigger them to come into the mapping experience here in order to better monitor the severe weather that's occurring for those locations of interest. So with that, I'm going to conclude my talk and see if we have any questions from the folks in the webinar that I can answer. Okay. Well, I'm getting a no questions alert from my team member here. So I'll just wait a few minutes, see if anyone has any questions. And if not, we'll conclude. All right. With that, thank you for your attendance today. And let me go back to what I mentioned earlier, which was if you wanted to contact me with any questions after the webinar, here's my email address. Feel free to reach out. And thanks for choosing Earth Networks.